Go. This is a picture I took of along Harbor Drive, coming in from the airport. As you can see, it's quite beautiful. It's very nice. Today is something very nice and very beautiful also. We're launching here in January 2026 the Communicator Awards. It will be at least a month long of individual brief broadcasts, interviews, talk shows, honoring people and companies and their activities, internal and external, their personal brand meshing with their professional brand, and how they do it. In my view, as editor of Global Business News and the creator of the Communicator of the Year Award, starting in, way back at the turn of the century, long time ago. It's a fun thing to do, bringing attention, bringing notice, bringing recognition to people and companies who are helping people, helping employees. Today's award will go to Christian Ter-Nedden, who's the supervisor of mobility operations and all things related for the company called In-N-Out Burger, which is headquartered in Southern California and expanding nationally. So I want to say that Christian has been on our programs as a panelist, commentator, and to see him get more comfortable and relaxed and expressive is just a joy for me as the producer. This is really good. And I want to introduce, here he is, Christian Ter-Nedden is currently in the global meeting room. Stand by. We're awaiting the arrival of Christian Ter-Nedden.
Hey, Ed.
Good morning and welcome to the Communicator Award TV
Thank
show
you.
honoring and recognizing Christian Ter-Nedden, the
Thank you very much,
global
Ed.
mobility supervisor, leader, honcho, whatever the right word is. You're going to tell us for the In-N-Out Burger Corporation, based in Southern California and national. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. It's been
Good
a
to see
while.
you, and thank you for doing this. This is the start of course, January 2026, and all throughout this month, I will be producing this kind of TV show, bringing recognition and bringing honor and bringing thanks to you and to others who deserve it, in my view, as editor of Global Business News. I was just doing a brief introduction before you arrived into the meeting room here. And I was explaining, just so you know, I was explaining about the creation of the Global Business News Communicator of the Year Awards, which I began around the turn of the century, a long time ago. Winners at that time included friends you've met. Philip Berry, for instance, was one of the early winners. And in fact, he guided me in the development of that category of that program and is still doing it today as basically a board member and advisor, as well as advertiser sponsor of the whole series. So the Communicator Award 2026 style will be a series of basically one-on-one. Sometimes there will be a guest commentator, but mostly be one-on-one between me and the award winner, and to talk about why and how. And I was just telling the audience in a warm-up, awaiting your arrival, that you have been on many of the programs the past year or two, and to witness, to see you develop comfort and grow in public speaking on camera has been wonderful,
Thank you.
and rewarding for me as the
Thank you.
producer of the event. The concept of this show is public relations, of course, but it's also to bring recognition to you for your work and your work methods. And actually, I got to say this, caring for people.
Thank you.
So, Christian, tell us about this ethos of yours, this grounding of helping employees who are facing or involved with the relocation process today.
Yeah. So I've been in the relocation industry for now over 20 years. And I've always been, even as a young boy, I've been interested in helping other people. And the way I would help them would be more in the teaching mode than, say, in the doctor mode. I know that you were a medic, and that wouldn't have been something for me. It was more in helping by imparting information, by imparting knowledge. And I come from a family of teachers, going back several generations, teachers, school principals. My grandfather taught teachers at a teaching academy in Germany. So there's a lot of background there. And to me, once I discovered the notion of you are in a foreign country or you're in a foreign environment and you need guidance, you need help figuring out your way, figuring out how to get to the things that you need. Once I kind of stumbled into that and figured out that this was actually a job that you would get paid for, it was kind of clear where I would be. And I am now at a stage in my life and in my career where it's important to impart that upon others, upon younger people, most of the time, not necessarily though. And that's why I run the mentorship for the Southern California Relocation Council, which is the organization of relocation professionals here in Southern California, where you and I both are. And that is to help the mentors and the mentees get together and learn from each other, because it's definitely not a one-way street. And as a manager, as a leader, I've mentored many people in my field, in my industry, younger people who are now successful relocation professionals. And I loved what you said, Ed, about seeing me grow with public speaking, because I do feel that I have learned an enormous amount in public speaking, not public speaking necessarily with a presentation, a slide deck, but off the cuff, often improvised. It's like sometimes I felt like you were just dropping balls and see who would pick them up, and sometimes you were shooting them at someone and see whether that person would pick them up. And that's kind of the image I have in my head when I think about the style of this show. And I've used that to my advantage since I had a discussion with a relocation mobility leader at the last meeting of the Southern California Relocation Council. And I was invited as a kind of the sidekick. I was invited as the person asking the questions, which were really cues. And it was a great success because I could now do this. There was no script, really. I mean, there was, but not for me, there wasn't really. And it was very funny. People liked it. And I really think, I thought afterwards, and I think today, a lot of this came from you, Ed. And a lot of this came from just practicing. And you provided the platform for this, right? And it wasn't just that when I participated in your show, I would meet all these interesting people that helped me learn and help me also reflect. But also I developed an ability to improvise and pick up cues and just, talk off the cuff. So thank you for that. I want to give that compliment right back to you. this, coming back to the beginning of my long answer, is what enables me to continue helping other people.
Thank you. So as you can see, this is being recorded, of course,
Yes.
sound and video and the note takers.
Yes.
And I will provide you with all of these links later today or tonight.
Sure, thank
And you
you.
could do with it as you wish.
Mhm.
You can chop it up. You can use it for your own library or for training purposes internally. As copyright owner, I will make a market for this
Sure.
and produce it and display
Yes.
it across our network, which has grown to be extensive. Doesn't mean that everybody who's in the network will watch this and gain from it. I wish they would, but over time, I think that audience will grow because of the seriousness and the goodwill that I'm trying to promote, not
Yes.
because
Yes.
of me, although I'm certainly derivative of that. It's for you and the other winners, and there'll be several winners, many of whom you already know, and others.
Yeah, I saw
Know.
Mehibe's post about winning the award the other day.
Now, I didn't tell her to do that. She just did it on her own
Yeah.
because she knows what to do with this stuff. She
Mhm.
doesn't need any instruction from
No,
me.
she does not.
She's just a wonderful performer,
She
but
is.
more so, she's so sincere
Yes.
and trustworthy because of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So, with that in mind, and the recent conversation that we've had, we're going back a year now or so, with London-based business psychologist Heather,
Yes.
and she came up with this terrific report for the Permits Foundation in Europe, getting work permits for spouses of relocated execs so that they can work while the husband is, or the other is working, and the spouse is left with now what? And no identity and no friends, and
Right.
being on the outside, not on the inside in the new community. It's a very mentally stressful time, which
Absolutely.
you are experienced with, and you can convey that to your to the company in and out employees that are being relocated now more than ever. So I need to change my glasses so I could read close up. These are for more vision. Excuse me for a minute, but this is live TV and we're doing all this, which goes to show what a psychologically safe place this program is, not just for you, but for me. So I asked Gemini, you know, the Google AI thing. We become friends, Gemini and I. And I'm a Gemini. So, you know, we sort of
match made in heaven.
Match made in heaven. So I said what I was doing about 35 minutes ago to Gemini, and they came right back with, they told me, Gemini said, articulate the value and the credibility of the award. Number one. Leverage with the interviewer or PR after the show's over. Yes. And well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Leverage, whatever that could mean to you. I know what it means to me, but this is about you, not me. And well, it is a little bit. And then the key thing, which I started off with you, the work methods and the care, customer care. The people within In-N-Out Burger who are being asked to relocate or given the opportunity, how are you caring for them and their families? Can we get into that a little bit now?
Sure, because it really doesn't have, it really doesn't just apply to In-N-Out Burger. As I mentioned, I've been doing relocation for over 20 years. And the methods that I use have grown over time, but I've used the same level of care to employees from other companies when I was working for a relocation management company. So I have two main goals in mind. One is definitely the care itself it's thinking about what situation of life these people are in, and how difficult it is to relocate. I relocated myself for the first time when I was 9 years old, and this was an event that clearly impacted me and influenced me and made me in many ways. I then relocated 25 years ago. I relocated from Switzerland to the United States. It was an immigration. It wasn't just a relocation. It was for good, and I knew that then. And I can relate what I'm hearing from the people I relocate and tie that back to my own biography, my own feelings back then, and all the knowledge that I've built over time to come to terms with this, to come to terms with a foreign culture, be this in an international setting. That's what you would be thinking of the most right out of the gate. But this move that you are alluding to Tennessee, that is public knowledge. In-N-Out Burgers is opening an Eastern Territory office in the Nashville area. It is culturally very different from Southern California, and there are lots of considerations. There are definitely many pieces of information that have to be imparted. For instance, about the real estate market being very different, or about culturally what people do in their free time being very different, just to name two examples. So yes, it's still the same country, but there's differences, and those differences have to be bridged. So that's one of them. The other one is more a project management aspect of relocation, and that's something that is dear to my heart and that I constantly try to strive for. I personally don't think you can provide customer service or even care if you don't know what's going on. And the basis for everything I just said is really that you follow along with the relocating employee. You follow along with their timeline. You know when they pack and load their household goods. You know when they leave. You know when they arrive. And as I often explain to team members, I need to know where this employee is going to sleep tonight. And if I don't know that, then we have a problem, because there's really no care if I don't care about where they're going to sleep tonight. It's that simple.
I love what you just said.
Thank
That
you.
means that you are tracking, sort of like sending a UPS and they give you a tracking number. You see where the
I wish
package
it were
is.
that easy. It's more manual than that, but it's also, and this is kind of an aspect of what I said with the project management part of it. It is also a game of clue. It's sleuthing, which I love very much, always have. I've always been into detectives and detective novels and so on. It is finding out what is going on. It's finding out, it's gathering data, it's puzzling it together. I often explain how to do that with, you want to know about the dog that didn't bark, which is an allusion to the a Sherlock Holmes story. It's something that should have happened but didn't. So you're looking for a gap. You're not looking for something that happened, an event, or you're looking for an item. You're looking for something that should be there but is not. And once you understand that concept, you can really look for, what do I not know about what this relocating employee is going through? And I don't necessarily mean emotions. I mean events, timeline, decisions that have to be made. Is this employee going to buy a property? Is this employee going to rent? If so, where? I've had many examples of people that said, one example would be, oh, I want to live in San Francisco. I want to live the nightlife, but my office is in Redwood Shores. Well, if you don't know the traffic patterns, that might be a problem. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You can, but you need to know what you're in for.
Let me ask you a question here.
Yeah.
Does your office book the motels along the
Yes,
way?
they do.
So your office knows where they're staying.
Yes.
And is there a phone call made daily or during the drive just to check
We have an
in?
itinerary, and that's one of the things I would follow along. But once they're there, The question is, if they are, for instance, going into temporary housing, into a corporate apartment, is that corporate apartment ready? Is everybody on the same page about when the move-in date is? Is everybody on the same page about when the move-out date is? Because a classic event in relocations that people just don't move out, and then the cleaning crew knocks on the door, and there's confusion, because they either forgot or they were under the impression that they would be able to stay, and that confusion has to be resolved. So
that is not only from your office, but perhaps the company you employ, and
yes,
then having them
absolutely.
communicate
Yes,
that they've done this thing, that thing, and the other
that's right.
every day.
That's pretty much right. You want to know where. It sounds a little big brothery. You want to know where everybody is every day,
Critically
but
important.
in a way,
Very.
you work backwards from that, right? In terms of what's happening in the relocation, if the relocation is truly active and people are in the middle of moving, you should know. You shouldn't forget about them, because at the end of the day, if you forget about them, if you don't know where they are, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know what decisions they've made about purchasing or not purchasing real estate, for example, there's definitely care lacking. One can't go without the other. And again, what I'm saying doesn't really just apply to In-N-Out. What I'm saying applies to the mobility industry in general, relocation management, often done by a relocation management company in collaboration with the employer. Some employers have brought that in-house. Many employers outsource it to a relocation management company, or they outsource at least some of the services to a relocation management company or to say a moving company, for instance, or a temporary housing company. But it doesn't really matter. There's coordination work to be done, and somebody's got to do it. That's another thing I often say, and in a way, it's another facet of the dog that didn't bark. If you want something done, you better figure out who's going to do it, or else it doesn't get done. And that applies to family life and lists of chores, just like it does apply to relocation. And I always talk about the elves. If you believe in that the elves are going to do it somehow at night while you sleep, well, it's probably not going to get done.
Yeah. So it's not a matter of trust, it's a matter of process with the relocation management company.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the hiring process, you have laid out the rules and regulations of proper care and timely and repetitively reporting that this has been done, that has been done.
Right.
Excuse me. Such as rug cleaning, the dishwasher works, the disposal works, the toilets flush, that the beds are made clean. Yeah. It seems so obvious, but that's where the rubber meets the road in the lives of the relocated, particularly spouse.
In the lives of the family that is being relocated, but also, and this is something that's often forgotten, in the lives of everybody who helps make that happen, right? It's the way I explain this method and why I'm so why I need this to be so accurate, why I spend so much time and effort on making sure I understand what's going on is, if I don't know what's going on, chances are somebody's going to call somebody. That could be me, it could be the relocation company, but it's something that happens because somebody dropped the ball, or somebody thought the elves would do it, or somebody didn't see it because it was the dog that didn't bark. What I'm trying to do overall really is not just the care, but also it's taking a step back and making this look more abstract. It's mitigating risk. And this is something I really learned from my wife in the industry that she's in, which is the mortgage industry, fair lending. She's worked with lawyers, even though she's not a lawyer herself. But this idea of you want to mitigate risk, you want to make sure you do everything you possibly can that something that could happen does not happen. which by the way is a very Swiss idea as well, and I'm half Swiss. You want to make sure that everything is so precise and so well thought out and thought through. You've thought about all the possible things that could happen if you have not thought something through, that you're not going to get a call and everybody's going to be happy, which leads back to the idea of care or customer service to the relocating employee.
Thank you for explaining that,
Of
because
course.
as you may know, Joanne, my better half for 29 years, has for many years been in the property business
Yes.
as an investor
Hmm.
and running short-term housing
Yeah.
in several places, but it's been reduced for estate planning purposes and other reasons. But still, it goes on, and to this day, the issue is the carpets cleaned?
Yeah.
Are the spots removed? Should we hire
Yeah.
Stanley Steamer? This stuff, and
Right.
then, okay, the next booking arrives on January 12th. That means it's now January 7th. Yeah. And so when is Stanley Steamer coming in? And
Exactly.
who's going to open the door and make sure it's closed
Yeah.
afterwards? I
Right.
mean, all this stuff is crazy
Yeah.
making, but it's really
Project
critical.
management. It's like building a thing. It's like, I don't know, construction. Construction. It's another example I often use. If you don't order the parts because you forgot, there's no construction that's gonna happen. If you thought the elves were gonna order the parts at night, it's not going to happen. You need to make sure that somebody did order the parts and that they're the right parts. And you should better have a process in place so that you can monitor that, which is what you were alluding to just now, Ed. Joanne has a process in place. I don't know how she does it, but she does do it clearly, because otherwise people would move in and the carpet would maybe have been cleaned or maybe not. And she's not going to have that. She's not gonna tolerate that. She's gonna want to provide a great experience, and part of that great experience is proper planning and execution, and then making sure it got done.
Yeah. So let's talk more about you and your background. So
Sure.
just for information purposes, your last name, Ter Nedden, and you
Yes.
mentioned that you're German and Swiss.
Yes.
So that's a combination of the names?
No, it's a German name.
I see.
It means something along the lines of from the valley, because that was where the farm was, where my ancestors lived. The name is 18th century, roughly, maybe even 17th, is not quite clear. Went back as far as we could. We're talking about northwestern Germany, and the language is not High German, it's Low German, which is related to Dutch. It's a dialect. So that's where the name comes from. It comes from my dad's side. My dad is German, my mother is Swiss. And that's also one of the reasons why we moved. She wanted to be closer to her family. And that's what my parents did. And I grew up in the Zurich, Switzerland area, went to high school and then college and university in Zurich, with a year abroad at the University of East Anglia in Norwich in the UK, and graduated with what would be the equivalent of a double master's in English and American literature and linguistics.
That is really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So the policy of In-N-Out, of going into South Central, Midwest, Mid-South, Nashville area, the cost of living is way lower than in Southern California. You address the cultural differences, what kids do after school, what's the culture. Is there a parent control issue or parent control opportunity of more Midwestern, Southern looking after kids rather than delegating that to the schools?
Hard for me to answer because I've never lived there. But
Yeah.
my first impression, initial impressions from what I've heard, yes, there is more of a community spirit, community atmosphere in many of the subdivisions, tracts. There's a lot of new construction going on. There's a lot of young families moving to Tennessee from all over the United States, and that you can look that up. It's one of the most traveled to areas for people to live because of the cost of living and also because of these community values that you're alluding to. So I believe so, but of course this is a modern environment. It's suburban. A lot of the things that happen elsewhere happen there too, but it is culturally different, yes. So I believe to some extent, yes, that is to be expected. But again, it's not something that is just there necessarily. It's something that you have to help find when you move there, right? You can't just say, okay, community, now accept me. It takes two to tango. You need to approach that community. And from what I've seen and heard, you're welcome with open arms. That's not that hard.
So do you have, I'm just asking questions because I don't know the specific answer. I
Sure,
can
yeah.
make assumptions, but I'd rather have you just communicate to the audience about
Yeah.
your program, because that's the essence of the Communicator Award. You're carrying and the exhibition of that,
Mhm.
not only in the company, but to the services providers as to what
Yeah.
you expect.
Yes.
And then the follow through delivery is what we've just been talking about. That's the communication
Yes.
links. Okay. And what can people expect?
Mhm.
Okay. So you have a counterpart in Nashville?
I have a relocation management company that I work with. They are not based in Nashville. They have very strong ties to Nashville. And I also have connections to, for instance, the local Chamber of Commerce. I've worked with them in preparing for this program. And I also have connections to the tourism office, local tourism office. They're very initial, and we're going to develop them. In and Out has them. So it's yes, you always want to have somebody on the ground that you can work with, that you can trust, that knows the area. What I just said about the community is kind of an example of that. Up to pretty recently, a few months ago, I'd never been to Tennessee, which makes it hard to talk about Tennessee all the time if if it's abstract, right? You know about it from many, many songs and many, many books and what you read in the media. But it's different to actually be there and drive around and see, okay, how far is it? What is the traffic like? What's the weather like? And yes, you need a partner who knows all this and who takes you by the hand and says, okay, here's what you can expect. Here's who I want to introduce you to. Here's whatever you're interested in to check out, learn more about. And that's in every relocation. Again, I'm taking it away from In and Out, but in every relocation, that's something that's very, very valuable that you want to have. Going back to what you said earlier about Heather de Cruz Conner and her research, it is really traumatic for a lot of people that are relocating, and not just saying them themselves, but their families as well, to arrive in an area where they don't really know who to talk to, how to find what they are looking for, how to develop a new lifestyle sometimes, or develop new routines. And without that, it's hard. One of the things that in that regard that I'm thinking about a lot is the idea of lifestyle. It's when you relocate, one of the things that you think about as a relocating employee, particularly if you relocate, you're not a refugee, you have a choice, is what kind of lifestyle am I looking at? Am I downsizing? Am I an empty nester? Am I young and single and want to meet people? Am I thinking about a family or already have maybe one child and want to have more children? And schools are very important, and peace and quiet are very important. What am I thinking about? What am I looking for? And I used some of these thoughts recently in the mentorship program of the Worldwide Relocation Council, where I was part of the mentorship program there, but as a mentee this time. And my group and I together developed a concept for an app called Prepped. And what this app would do is not provide any answers, but provide questions. Because if you don't have the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers. Again, going back to this idea of detective work, right? If the detective doesn't have the right questions, nothing's going to be solved. So therefore, you need to think of the questions first. And that was what this concept was about. It was an app. It didn't exist. It was a concept, but it was an app where you would enter some answers about yourself, about what you were looking for, what your profile was like, and then it would generate questions. Again, it wouldn't provide the answers. The answers were for you to find elsewhere, but it would provide the right questions so that you could make really good decisions about what you were looking for, what you were expecting, whether these expectations could be met, and so on. And we got into the final. We didn't win, but we were one of 3 finalists because it was a little out there. It was something that people didn't see coming, which of course is what I loved about this, because I'm all about out there and doing something people don't expect. So it was really providing questions. Everybody wants to provide answers. I wanted to provide questions. And the team, we all did it together, of course, and the idea of an app wasn't mine at all. But yeah, it was successful. We got a lot of really good feedback.
So we're coming to a close here in the next few minutes. We could go on and on and on, but I don't think the audience would like it. Maybe you come back again. But
of course, Ed, you know that. I'd be happy to.
So a very long time ago, I was publishing print magazines, yes. And the group I called US Bound, mm-hmm. which relates to international relocations. And yes. We had California Bound, we had Texas Bound, we had Florida Bound, New York Bound, Washington Bound, Connecticut Bound, Chicago Bound. The California Bound was the biggest, and it was like a research and development game. Mm-hmm. And my background way back when was in public relations, and I'm still doing that to this day, but
sure.
It was area economic development and the role of recruitment of talent, mm-hmm. and how that ties into success, of course, how it ties into recruitment, area economic development. And in other words, the Chamber of Commerce and the Regional Economic Development. I relocated myself and this big idea from Boston, where I'm from originally, in 1980 into West LA and Century City area. Before I actually relocated, I flew out and had meetings with the Chamber of Commerce and the LA Economic Development Corp about what I was going to do, and I was seeking their help. I wasn't yes. seeking money, I was seeking their help.
Sure.
Okay. And they said, if you screw up, you better get back on that plane and
back to the East Coast.
But we like to help you because it's a great idea what you're doing. And yet there's a lot of people who have been in this office before you who have been accused of stealing money and hurting people. If you do the exact opposite, in other words, you help people and you make things work,
yeah,
you're going to do great here, because the area needs what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's a relocation guide and relocation services.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're doing now.
Yes.
And the tie in together In other words, from the Tennessee or Metro, Nashville Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development, I'm sure you've had, or somebody in In-N-Out has had a one-on-one with them, if not do it, and let them know the impact of relocated families have on an area economic development.
Of course, yes.
And introducing these people to one-on-one to people who could help them, not just here's a brochure about that hotel or a brochure about that restaurant. Set up meetings, guidance, check in, and that is a bridge over troubled waters.
It is.
Okay. And what you're doing is underscoring, underlining the foundation for the Communicator Award. And so congratulations on that.
Thank
and
you.
It's just beginning, though, because the work is getting these people happy on arrival,
yes, indeed,
rather than a week later after disappointments or confusion. And
right.
that is the slippery slope right there.
Yes.
What I did back then, a long time ago, was hire people. And I didn't have to pay them. They wanted the opportunity to get new business, of course. But I went through the Chamber of Commerce and through the LA Economic Development Corporation at the top levels, introducing me to other business people in the community and talking about the kinds of people that the companies like Paramount Pictures or Boeing or TRW or Chevron, just to name a few companies, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, all kinds of companies, of course, in Southern California. And the economic impact of these people coming into the area, not only to rent or stay in an apartment, hotel, but they're going to want to buy a house and build a life.
Yeah.
And so think of all the money that they're going to be investing and spending here. They don't know your area, I'm saying.
Right.
And the more information and guidance and linkage you can provide, that's going to help the corporation be happy here. And so I became the conduit of this kind of thinking and the togetherness of it, and it worked.
Yeah. Well, it's bound to, right? And particularly in that time, this wasn't formed what we have today, with companies that do that. They're called destination services providers. And there's many of them. There's a few big ones in the United States, but there's many of them all over the world. And this has been perfected to a certain extent. But you were, in a way, you were pioneering a lot of this. And the idea with your scenario is really it's a triple win. It's a win for the employer. It's a win for these businesses that are now receiving leads, warm leads. And of course, it's a win for you too, because you are in the middle of it and making a living out of that, as well as certainly increasing your network. I'm sure there's many people.
So the money that flowed through this came in two ways, just so you know. And the storyline is that I sold advertising space in the magazine.
Yeah.
And mostly realtors and housing related services, mortgages, apartment rentals, movers. That was the bulk of it. But I had an arrangement with the group called Century 21.
Yes.
That I had in Boston. And then they told me that, well, the headquarters of the corporation of Century 21 is in LA. So here's who to talk to. And they became the largest advertiser. Now there are others as well. Coldwell Banker was also an early advertiser. KPMG, Ernst & Young, big users. And the users meant that they paid for copies of the finished magazine, and then they sent them out as part of a package, an attraction package. Chamber of Commerce bought more than 100,000 copies of the California Bound over a few years in the 80s at $10 each. And I didn't need investors. I self-funded.
Yeah.
So, and that's why the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Corporation said, do more,
Yeah.
give us more.
Yeah.
We'll buy more books.
Yeah.
All right. And so it became a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's because of the helpful we attitude, not me attitude.
Yes.
And in relocation services and communicating that approach makes you, Christian Ter-Nedden, communicator. And when I say you, I also mean in and out, because they recognize the humanity and the risks to mental health.
Yes.
If it's screwed up.
Yes.
And that's what I celebrate with you.
Thank you very much.
And it makes me feel terrific and worthwhile doing this kind of work.
Makes me feel terrific too. I appreciate the honor and that you thought of me in the first place, that you gave me the opportunity to talk a lot on this program
and introductions, which is terrific. So I want you to come back in the future when you have time and be a commentator.
Sure.
Not all the time, but when you have time.
Yeah.
And we want very much to dive deep into the relocation industry today and how it's different than it was 10, 15, 20 years, even a year ago.
Yeah.
And how the idea of what you're doing now has to be the model for everybody else, in my view.
We'll see about that. That's a big statement.
Well, it's a winner. It's a winner.
It is what works for me. It is what works for me. Like I said, a part of this is mitigating risk. If you have less risk, you have less risk. You work for yourself among other people, right? It's not just about the relocating employee. It's a little like what you said. When they're happy, everybody's happy, right? Because you've done well. You've done it. You execute it. You plan. You execute it, and the outcome, the product, is such that everybody's pleased with it.
So you're being the first recipient of 2026. And as this series is launching today and will be throughout January and perhaps beyond, as we see what catches on here. And that's why I wanted to share all this information with you. Having you on the show, Christian, gives the show and the award meaningfulness.
Thank you.
And honesty, authenticity. You're not paying me anything. I don't want it. I don't need it. And we just want to give the awards to people who are deserving. And you are. So thank you
very much.
All right, this is Ed signing off. And that's Christian. Let's finger here. And as live TV. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. And I'll be happy to be back. Like I said, looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching.